Here are the 4 habits on how to have the best day ever. I'm fairly routine oriented, but having said that, my routines have changed throughout the years. Working in a 9 to 5 office setting came with a certain routine, and then having a child came with another type of routine. But now that I'm self employed and have a teenager, the routine looks a lot different. And in my opinion, it's the habits that make more of an impact in your life than your actual routine. Routine is more of structure, and habit is a way of being. You can go and change my routine, but my habits will always stay the same because, like they say, we're creatures of habit. These 4 habits that I'm going to talk about are the constant factors that I've maintained over the years throughout everything that allowed me to be productive. And if you haven't watched my 2-minute pep talk on being productive yet, you might want to consider how it's very productive to not judge yourself for any lack of productivity. That attitude alone is life changing, at least for me, because judgment on how you're supposed to be living your life is the biggest cause as to why you're not as productive as you think you should be. There's a bonus habit for you to consider. I was never the smartest kid in school, but I always had a strategy. I always had an end point that I knew I wanted to get to and did sometimes the bare minimum to make sure that I got there. Even if that meant just barely scraping by to pass grade 10 math or doing whatever it took to get my university degree, it was going to happen one way or the other. I had this teacher in grade 12 who wrote in one of my report cards, Freya has this childlike exuberance for life that I wish she never loses. I was like, oh, cool. So here are the 4 habits that have consistently led to me having the best day ever. Number 1, a curious and grateful attitude. I know it sounds cliche, but an attitude is part of your habit. This habit starts the moment I wake up. The time I get out of bed doesn't matter, but my attitude does. And if you're in the habit of waking up and being a complainer, then you set the stage for the rest of your day to find something to complain about. And if you say you don't want something to happen, then chances are it's going to happen. Focus on what you want instead of what you don't want. Focus on what you have instead of what you don't have. Look at what's going well instead of what isn't going your way. It's quite an egotistical attitude to expect that everything will go your way. And when it doesn't, that means life has it out for you. Get rid of that attitude. There was this guy that I used to work in the same office building as, and most mornings I'd see him get on the elevator. There'd always be at least one other person there who knew him and would ask him that classic question, how are you? And he'd always reply, best day ever. I was like, who is this guy? Like the first time I heard this, I'm thinking, okay, he's having a great day. Today's a great day for him. But it was every time, best day ever, best day ever. I started to realize, oh, okay, this is how this guy operates. This is the attitude. He was literally shaping his day by saying that. When you wake up in the morning and tell yourself, this is going to be the best day ever, then it will be. Then I say to myself, I wonder what will happen today. And not in a cynical or negative way, but in a curious way. So there's the attitude of gratitude and curiosity. Number 2, planning the night before and even the year before. And don't look at planning as a chore. See this as fun and exciting because this is your life. You want the best day ever? Here's how you'll also have the best life ever. Because with this planning, you will end the day and the week and the month and the year with the satisfaction of looking back on what you were able to execute in your plan. It's super empowering to realize that you have this power of turning your thoughts into action. This habit carried over for me in my work at the probation office, and then I applied it when I started to work for myself. I'm going to break this down for you so you get an idea of what I'm talking about. Every Friday, I would print out the next week's daily agenda so I could see it a week ahead of time. And then once I came back to the office on Monday, I was prepared for what I had to do. There was always so many unexpected things that would come up. So having a good handle on what was predictable helped a lot to preserve my brain power for the unpredictable and unexpected. Because when you work in an unpredictable environment like I did, it helped to have some level of predictability as much as possible. So instead of waiting until I got into work to find out what my day had in store for me, I already knew ahead of time. I guess it's like when I go on a trip somewhere, I like to plan ahead, see what restaurants are around, read the reviews about the place, check out the pictures as much as possible to get a visual lay of the land, look at the Google Maps to see where it is in relation to other things. I always like to know what I'm getting into. And it's true that habits do become part of your personality. So if you're a planner and you like things to be predictable, because otherwise you're prone to chaotic outcomes, i.e., you're someone with complex trauma, then this is a great habit to have, which gives me a sense of grounding. So I do this now on a big whiteboard. Every night, I reflect on the day's items that I wrote down. And if I didn't do something, then it would stay there. So if it was something that keeps getting carried over and it's been on the board for a while, either I'm going to totally remove it because it's lost its prioritization for me. I know that as a result, I prioritize something else, like relaxing, practicing my DJ mixes, getting into a yoga class, or tackling a totally different project that I didn't have in my agenda for that day. Or it's going to increase in prioritization, and it's most likely that I'm just going to get it done with in that moment right away. Now, this extends to a whole year of planning ahead too. At the end of the year, in November and December, I start planning my monthly calendar for the next year. This is where I get into reverse engineering. Like, where do I want to be by the end of next year? And then here are all the things you're going to have to do to get yourself there. So every month, I knew what the major tasks were that needed to get done. And then you break those bigger monthly goals into smaller weekly goals, and the weekly goals get broken down into daily goals. So I had a plan, a guideline. Every month, I knew what I needed to do so that by the end of the year, the big goals were accomplished. There was no guessing or having to figure things out on a whim. Yes, I'm a planner. I love it. It's my habit and it works. The third habit to having the best day ever is allowing myself to have a mindful flow to the day. Now that I got my ass out of bed with the attitude of gratitude and I know what my non negotiables for the day are, I can allow myself to live in the natural flow of life. Learning how to be in the flow has been a game changer for me because for those of us who don't like to be told what to do, I get to decide what I'm in the mood for today. And some of you might think that this just sounds like a whole lot of lack of discipline, but it's being intuitively led with some structure. As much as I love structure and routine, I also need organic flow and flexibility. As much as I love predictability, I also know that a lot of things are out of my control. And so I like to let go of the need to have control and allow myself to go with the flow of the day. I love to have time to reflect in the morning, either by journaling or a 20-minute meditation, which is again followed by journaling. I don't know why, but I have this constant need to be documenting my life. It's actually proven to be a helpful tool for me to remind myself of what happened or what I did to get myself through those difficult times. And stay tuned for a book that I have coming out this summer that will put to use all those years of my journals. I can't give you too many details just yet, but I'll be announcing something really cool in the next month. And the last habit to having the best day ever is movement. If you've heard me talk about the 4 M's, this is my personal philosophy on how to excel at life. And essentially, the 4 M's are also part of these 4 habits: mindfulness, mindset, movement, and music. I'm going to be releasing a free 7-day challenge based on these 4 M's in a few weeks, so stay tuned for that one. I'm a big time music fanatic over here, so the pure act of putting on the right song will shift my energy in a second if I need to. For this fourth habit I'm focusing on with movement, music really is the harmony that you're creating within your day and being able to move your body, shifting your energy. I've had moments of being a gym rat in my 20s, but these days I'm more about the soft and slow way of living. So when I do work out, It's not done with the intention of entering a fitness competition or losing weight. It's done like everything else I've spoken about, mindfully. And this also includes moving my breath. Wim Hof is a personal favorite. But for real, I just have to make sure I've connected in some way to my body every day, whether it's putting on music, doing breath work, stretching, doing yoga, taking a brisk walk, having a little dance session at the end of the day, or getting into one of my hot yoga classes. Movement is key. Meanwhile, let me know what your top 4 personal habits are